Good morning. My name is Reverend Kylie Renner, and on behalf of the entire One Spiritual Center community, I want to welcome you here today. Thank you for bringing your love and your light into this space this morning. So if you weren't here last week, you may not have heard our big announcement, which is after this Sunday, we are moving to the Outpost Performance space, which we think is going to be an amazing move for us as a community, and I'm so excited. But this move has caused me to start to think a lot about where this last year and a half or so has gone, and the path that we are all on this planet together, and all of the shifting and changing that happens, all of the healing, all of the things that keep on feeling like they fall apart and then come back together, and this journey that we get to be really present to of how is it that we get to keep on opening our hearts. How do we keep on allowing ourselves to be touched and moved and changed by life itself? And so I'm just really so honored to be on this path with all of you, with all of the heart that is in this space, all of the heart of all those who watch online. Good morning. And I just want to acknowledge the fact that it takes great courage to be on this path. The spiritual path is not a path for the faint-hearted, and the places where we end up sometimes don't feel real great for periods of time, but there's always an opportunity for us to go deeper together and to take that opportunity to allow community and love and a bigger vision to come through. And so I'm just holding that this morning as we acknowledge, and we're going to leave a blessing in this place today for all of that space that has been offered to us for the last year and 6 months. Wow. So acknowledging that this morning, I'm just going to invite you to bring yourself present here as we anchor in prayer. And so if you're comfortable just closing your eyes, we take an opportunity to breathe into this day that never existed before and will never exist again. This unique moment in time and space with everything that is going on inside us and around us. And we take this opportunity to allow for a recognition of deep love and peace and possibility, even in the midst of whatever it is that feels like it is moving in us right now. And so I just acknowledge the power and the presence of the One here today, in and as and through each of us as we bless this space that we have called our home. We leave that blessing that is this community as we open to the beauty that comes next. And so I just honor this space and time today, this opportunity to allow whatever it is that needs to be received, and everything that needs to be let go of, to be let go of. And we just acknowledge the embrace of the One here with deep love and peace. We let go into it. And we let it be. And so it is.
I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. I am a light. I am a light. I am a light in this world. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. And I shine, and I shine, and I shine so bright. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. We are a light, we are a light, we are a light in this world. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so bright. And we shine, and we shine, and we shine so.
To prepare for our meditation this morning, I've chosen a poem that I seem to come back around to all of the time. It's a poem by Mark Nepo that he wrote for Joel, one of his friends, on the occasion of his 94th birthday. They say that miners in South America strap small lamps around their chest, that this works better than the light coming from the center of your head. They say the head can be fooled, but the heart can't turn without the body. This makes me think of you digging your way through your long life, lighting everything with your heart. It's a good way to live. And when we sit at the end of the day, our hearts illumine the day and we see each other in its radiance. I can tell it reminds you of many circles you have been part of. It's a good way to measure time, to make your way on earth by the light coming from our heart. This is what you've taught us. Is it any wonder that what you touch, including us, glows? Is it any wonder that what you touch, including us, glows? And so we just allow for our hearts to light the way, and we let the meditation take us wherever it is going to take us today.
Our special music this morning, Diana Hughes is here. Diana Hughes.
Thank you. This is a poem by Rumi, set to music by the singer-songwriter David Wilcox. sails just need to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. On a day when the wind is perfect, the sails just need to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. There's a breeze that can enter the soul. This love that I know plays the drum. Arms move around me. Who can contain themselves with all this beauty? On a day when the wind is perfect, the sails just need to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. On a day when the wind is perfect, the sails just need to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. On a day when the wind is perfect, the sails just need to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. There's a breeze that can enter the soul. This love that I know plays the drum. Arms move around me. Who can contain themselves with all this beauty? On a day when the wind is perfect, the sails just need to open, and the world is full of beauty. Today is such a day. Today is such a day.
Diana Hughes.
Oh, that was so beautiful, Diana. Thank you. So I recently had an opportunity to allow myself to get caught up with myself. So this is one of those things that I believe happens quite often on the spiritual path, is that we have these healings that happen, these transformational moments, and we don't even realize that they've happened. Because everything looks different or feels different, but we don't know exactly how to place it or how to move in it. And so it's not for a while till we figure out, oh, wow, something big just shifted. And so I just had an opportunity to catch up with myself and realize that this shift had happened and this movement had happened. And so I've been reflecting a lot about this path of that we're all on together, this path of courage that is a spiritual path, and about the fact that only brave souls really go on this path. It's not for the timid or those who are not truly courageous, because what happens at some point along the path is that we realize our minds have taken us as far as they can take us, that our minds are amazingly powerful tools, but they can only take us so far on this path of really remembering who we really are. And at some point we have to let something else guide. And today I'm calling it heart, but it could go by all kinds of different names. But what I know about that other place is that it leads us into those places that are vulnerable, because they can't be controlled the way the things of the mind are. So when we enter into that place that's beyond where our minds can take us, and we start to really access this other knowing in us, this other place of connection, this openness, there's all kinds of things we discover that we couldn't have discovered with our minds. But we sometimes have gotten trapped, though, I find, in kind of mind-oriented spirituality, which I think all of us probably have at least a little bit of that in us. That's why we're attracted to this kind of philosophy, because there is a lot of cerebral aspects to it, and that can only take us so far. We can get trapped in that. And so the shift that is happening, or has happening in all of us, I believe, is this shift that says, okay, so that took us this far. Now how do we let this kind of more vulnerable, open-hearted space inside of us really lead? Especially in this world where it feels really vulnerable to do that right now. It feels really hard to be in this world in an open-hearted way with everything that is going on. And this is a conversation I keep on having with people, is how do we be in this world without shutting down our hearts? Without letting what it feels like is going on around us shut us down? How do we let it instead open us up? How do we let our hearts be more bright? So I just love that poem that Mark Nepo wrote that I started with, about the idea that instead of strapping our lights to our heads in this kind of mind-oriented way, we strap the lights to our hearts. Because in that idea that our minds can mislead us, but our hearts will always lead us exactly where we need to be. And that idea, like, how do I light up my life from the place of heart? How do I allow for that kind of openness? So Lao Tzu said, there are many, many, many paths to enlightenment. Be sure to take the one with heart. Be sure to take the one with heart. And so we have all these choices that we are constantly making in the world. And the one with heart, though, the one that leads us to the openness of our heart, is what I know to be always the one that is the true one. But we get distracted. And we get distracted, and we get distracted by the things that feel like that they need to be fixed and changed. And we get distracted by all of the things that feel like they're problems. So Philip Simmons, in his book called Learning to Fall, says this: When we stop seeing the world as a problem to be solved, when instead we open our hearts to the mystery of our common suffering, we may find ourselves where we least expected to be, in a world transformed by love. When we stop seeing the world as a problem to be solved, when instead we open our hearts to the mystery of our common suffering, we may find ourselves where we least expected to be, in a world transformed by love. And so this idea for me is that as my heart opens, it opens to this sense of it's not opening because there is a problem to be solved, but because there's just so much love. There's just so much more love than we've ever poured out of ourselves. There's just so much more love available to us. And when we open our hearts, we start to access that, and truly things are transformed from a deeper layer than they could be before. And we have this wisdom inside of us that is like trying to get our attention, and I just feel it so strongly in every single conversation I have about anything that is going on in anyone's life. I feel like this cosmic urge, like for a wisdom to come out of us that just is so much more powerful than we've ever let through us before. This centered in love, open-hearted space. And there's a wisdom inside of us that is asking for us to acknowledge it and to let go of our resistance to it. Let go of our resistance to feeling vulnerable, or that we don't quite understand the language. Because that's what I recognize, is that I don't always understand in the same way when my heart is leading as when my mind is leading. And I don't always understand, and I can't always explain it, and it doesn't always make sense, but it's there, and it needs to be acknowledged, and we're being asked to acknowledge this wisdom that comes from this deeper place. So when I was thinking about that this week, like how does that even work? I came back across this story about the truth about how migration of the monarch butterflies happens, and it's just so amazing. I'm going to tell you about this. Okay, so after wintering in a favorite tree in Mexico, a monarch butterfly will fly 3,000 miles up to southern Canada with all of their little loving milkweed friends along the way. And sometimes these teeny wonders fly as many as 100 miles a day. And at the end of the summer, the process happens in reverse, and they end up back at the very same tree they left in Mexico. But this is the amazing part, right? Is that in that year, a year later, they're not even the same butterflies arriving in the tree. Several generations of butterflies have passed from egg to caterpillar since they made that first migration, but they land in the same tree without having ever been there themselves. And there's just something so amazing and beautiful about that I have to believe that there's that same kind of wisdom in us, leading us to back from that place of heart back to the essential power of who we are, if we're willing to accept that kind of guidance. But it only can come if we're willing to receive it. Like that butterfly can only make its way home. They don't know how, no one has figured out how they know how to do this. So it must come from someplace deeper than our understanding, right? It's coming from someplace deeper in us as well. And we have this guidance system inside of us that is completely untapped because we have been so focused on where our minds could take us that we've forgotten that we have this other kind of wisdom inside of us that can lead us to so much deeper places of love inside of us, the love that really, truly transforms everything. But we have to be willing to let it in. And so that's been my lesson recently. My big, amazing shift has been about letting that kind of guidance in. And recognizing that guidance is everywhere, like everywhere, in everything. And that the entire universe is supporting the kind of guidance to lead each of us exactly where we're supposed to be going at each moment. And so it comes in different ways. But I have to tell you this very sweet story. So one of the things that I was guided to was recently was to reconnect with the essential joy I get being around young children, and I wasn't exactly sure how this was going to happen. But through a bunch of twists and turns, someone asked me, "Hey, you want to teach English as a second language? That seems like it would be really in line with your values and your skills and what you believe about oneness and the world." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds like exciting." And so I've been teaching English as a second language to students in China who do not speak English. I do not speak Chinese. But I have to tell you, the joy of giggling with a student on a computer who's in China and I'm in New Mexico, and the giggle of life that comes through, that kind of receiving that can happen, right? That essential connection that can happen across language, across continents and oceans, across like the fact that how did we end up in each other's lives? Like the pure joy of that for me has been another reminder of just like the kind of connection and guidance and love that are always available to us. But we have to be willing to receive it. We have to be willing to put ourselves in the way of it. We have to be willing to look for it. And we can't receive in that way if we're only seeing problems, if we're only seeing that which feels like it's broken, and we are forgetting the essential nature of the issue itself, which is, how do I bring more love here? That could be our only question every day, is how do I bring more love? How can I bring more of the love that I am? How can I shine that light of my heart more clearly? And if that was all we were doing every day, I can guarantee you what we would be doing would be creating the world we want to be living in. Because everywhere we go, that's what will be showing up. And so for me, this is one of the opportunities to remember that we have been filling our hearts with a lot of things recently that absolutely need our attention. There are things in the world that need to change, need our attention, need our focus on them, but maybe not in the way we have put our focus there. Maybe that the healing that is trying to happen is the healing that requires us to be able to bring more love into the situation. So here's a poem by Hafiz that speaks to this exact thing. If I can find my second page of it, because it's not going to work if I only have half the poem. Oh, poop. All right, it's going to work with half the poem because I'm going to make it work with half the poem. This is what it says. There are different wells within your heart. Some fill with each good rain, others are far too deep for that. In one well, you have just a few precious cups of water. That love is literally something of yourself. It can grow as slow as a diamond if it is lost. Your love should never be offered to the mouth of a stranger, only to someone who has the valor and daring to cut pieces of their own soul off with a knife and offer them back to you. There are different wells within your heart. Some fill with each good rain, others are far too deep for that. So what this poem speaks to me of is this sense that we have these places in our heart that are unexplored, that they're these wells that are deeper than we have accessed before, and sometimes our hearts fill with each good rain, and there are some times when we have to dig deeper to find that place, and it requires us to be aware in how we are opening and allow for that guidance, to allow that opening to happen in a way that is sustainable, in a way that supports our growth. And so when I always think about how beautiful it is that when we go outside, like our pupils can adjust to the light levels, and they do that beautiful dance of getting smaller and bigger in light. And our hearts know exactly how to do that as well, about how and when to open and where to open, and there's that guidance inside of us, as if our hearts were these places that have that kind of same sensitivity to the places that are asking for our attention, and the ones that don't need our attention. The places where there's something for us to do, and the places where all for us to do is to pour more love. And we have this essential guidance system inside of us if we're willing to access it. So we have to be willing to access it, and we have to be willing to allow for that guidance to be something that we honor and not push away. And so I'm really grateful for this opening in me and this opportunity. I believe that we've all been given this invitation to take this path deeper, to take this open-hearted path in a deeper way, and to really start to make sure that we're encouraging each other, especially when things feel challenging, to encourage and acknowledge the challenges, but also to be kind enough with ourselves and with others to acknowledge that we sometimes slip up and we forget to bring our hearts, or we forget to open our hearts, and we've caused ourselves to be protected. And so this opportunity to keep on bringing that love, even when we forget, and even when we get sucked into the chaos or the drama around us, and to continue to just remind ourselves to balance the head and the heart and our spirits and our bodies and our love, and so that we may bring our best selves to the world every day. And we're just being called to do this in a more conscious way together, and to allow for that guidance to come from all around us, so we can connect to that essential joy that we have inside of us. And so I'm going to ask the band to come in as we prepare the way for prayer. And as we prepare the way, I'm just going to ask you to maybe think about some place maybe that you've got stuck in some mind game, some place in your life where maybe heart is missing, and see if through prayer, through handing it over to guidance inside of us, we might move to a deeper place. Please join me.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free.
So our prayer of love today is a prayer of opening our hearts. Of opening our hearts to allow for more love and more peace and more wisdom than we ever thought possible to be accessed by us. Because we recognize that it is already within us. That we are constantly being guided by something so much deeper than our minds can understand. And we allow for that guidance to direct us to everything that needs to be opened in us, so that we may courageously and powerfully be bringing our best selves to this world, our best selves to everything that is finding its way into being healed and transformed. And so we allow ourselves to be conduits for that light emanating out of our hearts that has the power to transform everything that it touches. That light, that love, that peace That wisdom has the power to transcend everything that feels like it's divided us in any way, and it sends us right back to the fact that it all is one. And so we allow that one to be our focus. We allow that essential wholeness to be what we are always looking for, so that anywhere where it feels like that is not how we are showing up may be healed in the most powerful way possible. Healed by love itself. And so we allow the light to shine in the darkness. And what we find is more light. And we allow for our guidance system that knows exactly how to lead us to our greatest healing, to just lead us without any resistance, without needing to know where we're going or why it's looking the way it is. We just let it guide us. We trust in it. And we just allow for our hearts to continuously open more and more, so that more of that wisdom and guidance and love is revealed in expected and unexpected ways. And we just let that beauty reveal itself. And so how sweet it is simply to bask in that love, to bask in the remembrance of that love that is inside of us, that can never be diminished in any way, that can only find more of itself. And we just let that guidance remind us of how powerful and creative and true we are. And so we just lean into that peace and that love, and we let it be. And so it is.
Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Our prayer of love lifts us high. It heals us, sustains us, and sets us free. Once again, Diana Hughes.
I probably don't need to tell you where this comes from. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires can come to you. When your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, as dreamers do, fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longings. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires can come to you. When your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, as dreamers do, fate is kind. She brings to those who love the sweet fulfillment of their secret longings. Like a bolt out of the blue, fate steps in and sees you through. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true. When you wish upon a star, your dreams come true.
That's Diana Hughes. Who was that? Was that Pinocchio?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio.
The Blue Fairy sang it.
So now's the time where we move into the sharing of our tithes and offerings. So I invite you to take whatever it is you brought to share with this community today, and I invite you to hold it over your heart and give it a silent blessing, whatever that might be for you today. Maybe there's some place where you're being guided to open your heart to bring more love. Or maybe there's some part of your guidance system that you're willing to open to access more of the wisdom that's inside of you, so that you may be bringing your best self for the transformation that is seeking to happen on this planet as us. Whatever that is for you today, I just invite you to feel what it feels like to remember how loved and supported you are, to remember that wisdom that is inside of you, that is always available. And it is just in deep recognition of letting it all in that we allow for Spirit to move in us. And so just feeling that, I invite you to sing with me as our ushers come through the aisles.
Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds pitched by my doorstep, singing sweet song. A melody's pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Singing, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing, every little thing is thing, don't worry about a thing. Every little thing is gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Every little thing is gonna be alright.
As we bless all that has been offered in this space, all of the joy and the love that we've shared in this theater for the last year or so. And we just allow for that love and that light that has been shared to illumine this place, as well as light the way to our next adventure. And so we just allow for that good to keep on expanding, that love to keep pouring out of our hearts. And I just know how beautiful and powerful it all is. And so I just let it in. I let the receiving in. I let that love in. And I let it be. And so it is. Thank you. So, if you've missed my announcement now 3 or 4 times, here it is again. Next Sunday will be our first Sunday at our new location, which is the Outpost Performance Space, not too far from here. It's on Yale, 2 blocks south of Central, and we're really excited about being there. And so the only concern I've heard from a few people is about parking. So there is a little tiny bit of parking on site. But I also want you to know that the parking lot, there is a parking lot across the street that is pay parking, but that is not enforced on Sundays. So we're welcome to park over there, and we're just excited about being in the new space and to create more intimacy. That was what was requested from our community members. So we're excited to be there starting next week. So if you come here next week, we won't be here. There will be signs on the door in case you forget, but we will be at the Outpost next week. So also next weekend on Saturday, we will be cooking for Community of Hope. This is our monthly opportunity to make a meal that serves the hungry and homeless, and we serve about 100 people with that meal once a month. And so we'll be cooking the meal on Saturday, and that meal is served on Sunday, and that's coming up next Saturday. And if you need more information about where we're cooking and all of that, can find that at the info table with Sharon. And then the following Saturday, we will be at Roadrunner Food Bank and serving there on our monthly excursion together, our monthly opportunity to be of service there. So those are the things that are coming up. And if anyone has any concerns about our move or needs to tell me anything about it, please share with me, because I'd love to hear how to make this transition smoother for everyone. I'm super excited about what's going to be possible there that we couldn't do here, including the fact that they have a really amazing piano that Sid's going to get to play and not have to schlep his keyboard back and forth every week. So we're excited about that, as well as all kinds of other things. So starting next week, got it? Everyone got it? Same time, different place. Okay, got it? Okay, great. So, and please help us get the word out. So if you know people who may not have heard through our email or through Facebook or through however they find out things in the world, please help us get the word out. Thank you very much. Let us sing our song.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord, then we can feel alright. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. One love, ain't no baggage, just get on Let's give thanks to the Lord, and we can feel alright. People get ready for the train to Jordan, picking up passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key. Open the doors and board. There's room for all that love. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. One love, one heart. Let's give thanks to the Lord, and we can feel alright. Let's give thanks to the Lord, and we can feel alright.
And one last blessing that we sing to one another.